So this video is the one on the classwork for block number 1. It is the one that was called a humanoid, where we're talking about the length of someone's arm in centimeters to their height. Okay, so let me just read through this question so we understand what we're doing, and then we'll run through the problem. So in this problem, it says let me make this a little bigger. It says in 1997, an anthropologist discovered an early humanoid in Europe. As part of the analysis of the specimen, the anthropologists needed to determine the approximate length of the humanoid. And the skeleton remains were highly limited, and what they had was basically their forearm. Okay, and that bone measured 26.4 centimeters. Okay, so 26.4 centimeters, and we're going to be using that number later on in the problem. And they want us to consider how you could determine how tall the humanoid was. Discuss the questions between your team. Be ready to share responses. So what we're going to do is they gave us this worksheet. We're going to add in the data that I presented today, and I'll add that back in here. We're going to do a scatter plot, okay, and then answer all of these sentence frames, okay. So I'm going to get a text box, and I'm going to put the text box here. And then I'm going to type over this, the data that I presented today. I'm going to change my font size down to, I think 14 seems reasonable. Let's see if that works. Okay. And then I'm going to type that in. I think I'm going to pull this over a little so it's kind of more in the center of this and more in the center of this. Okay, so let me just type in the data. So one of them was 25, and I'm going to make this bold too. So let me just make this bold so we can compare a little better. Okay, so 25 for the arm length, and I'm just going to just return, just do the space bar to get it onto the other side, 169. And now I'm going to hit the return, okay? And again, I'm just doing this in one text box, and I'm going to just type over the table. So 24 and 162. You want to space it better? You can space it better. Okay. And then 23 and 159. So 23 and 159. 23 again and 162. Oops. And 20 and 150. So 20 and 150. Sorry, 151. It's 151. Okay. So I do the same data we did today. 19 and 148. 19 and 148. 29 and 176, and 21 and 155. So 21 and 155. Okay, so there's our data that I gave us in class today. And now I am going to put this into Desmos. Okay, I'm going to put this into Desmos. So in Desmos, what I'm going to do, and here, let me make this a little bigger so we can see that table. Okay, so in Desmos, you're going to go to the plus sign. Okay, grab table, and then we're going to put in the data. I usually go down. So 25, and I'm just going to go to the wrench. I'm going to put this in projector mode so it's a little fatter for us to see. Okay. So 25, 24, 23, 23 again, 20, 19, 29, 21. And I'm going to match up the Y's. 169, 162, 159, 162, 151, 148, 176, and 155. Okay. Now I'm going to expand this so we can kind of see this a little better. Right now I'm not seeing the points, and the reason I'm not seeing the points is because of the scale of this graph, okay? And I can kind of zoom in and out if I want. But if I zoom in and out, it's going to keep the same scale. See how it's 5 on both X and the Y? Okay, so it's going to just, now it's 10 on both X and Y. So my X's are kind of smaller. They're in the kind of like the 20s, and my Y's are in the higher 100s. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the wrench, and this is where I can adjust my X and Y axis, and I can actually label my X and Y axis. So where it says X axis, I am going to come here, and let me make sure we can all see where I am. Sometimes it's hard to see. Okay, so I'm going to come here to X axis, and I'm going to come here to add a label. Okay. And I'm going to type in what the X column was, which was forearm length in centimeters. And then for this, it is in the 19 to 21, or sorry, what's the max? 20, 29. So let's say I go from 0 to 30. Okay. And then I am going to come to the Y, and I'm going to do the same thing for the Y axis. I'm going to come here, and I am going to type in the title of this, which is height in centimeters, and then I'm going to change these values. Okay. So this is going to be height in centimeters. And then for this, I can go, the maximum here looks like it's about a 176, so maybe I'm gonna go up to 180. Now I can go from 0 to 180, okay, and I'm gonna kind of get out, and you can kind of see my graph's kind of scrunched over here. Now for statistics, sometimes the data is so far in one direction that it's okay if you don't have it starting at 0. So I'm going to say maybe from 100 to 180, just to kind of get a kind of a better feel of this graph, so you can kind of see that there. And I can even do that for my X's if I want. I don't have to start at 0. I could start maybe at 10, something like that, if I want, and go from maybe 10 to 30. And then you can kind of maybe get a better feel of the graph, okay? You can kind of see the flow of it a little better. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I want to come up with my line of best fit. So I'm going to go down to the next line. Okay, the next line here. Oops, let me see, I just lost my spotlight. To this line, and I'm going to be typing in Y1, and then the symbol that's like the similar symbol, MX1 plus B. Okay, so Y1. And then next to the number 1 on your keyboard, you can also get to it here from keyboard. But if you look at number 1 right next to it and you hit shift, you'll see that symbol, okay? And then it's MX1 plus B. Anytime you want to do a regression, a line of best fit, any type of graph of best fit, even if it's not a line, you want to use your Y1, X1 from your table, or Y2, X2 if your table, if it was a second table, okay? And then instead of an equal, you're going to use the symbol that looks like a similar symbol, okay? Or it looks like the tilde in Spanish. So what I'm going to do now is I see my line of best fit. Let me just kind of circle here so we can see it. So right here, this is my M, Okay, that is going to be my slope. I'm going to do two numbers after the decimal, so I'm going to go 2.87. This is my B, this is my y-intercept, 94.2071, and again, I'm going to do 94.21 if I round. We also have this R, okay, and this R is our correlation coefficient. And your correlation coefficient is going to be between 1, see how good I can write with this on here, and, sorry, between -1 and 1. And since this is an increasing line, my R is positive. So really I'm looking from 0 to 1. And since this is pretty darn close to 1, and you can kind of see that these points, a lot of them, some of them are touching the line or they're very, very close to the line, this is a very strong line of best fit, okay? So let me shrink this. Oh, and before I do, now that I have the line of best fit drawn here, I have labeled my X and my Y. I'm going to come up here to the share, and I want to make sure everyone sees where I am. So let me just get the, let me just kind of circle where I am. Sorry. Got to get used to using these again. So I'm going to come here to this share. Okay, that's where I'm going to go. And what I'm going to do is I am going to choose export image. Okay, export image is what I want. Okay, and you can pick whichever one you want. You can thin, medium, or thick. I think medium looks okay. And then you're going to click on this download. Hold on, let me just get this one more time. This download PNG. Okay, that's what I'm going to click on. And it's going to download it. Mine downloads to download on the Chromebook. It probably is going to download to your Google Drive, and you're going to, when you go to your Google Drive, it'll be under images. Okay. Okay, so now let me, I'm going to kind of shrink this. Okay. And let me just recircle these so we see. This is my M and my B. That's going to help with my line of best fit. Okay. So I'm going to now upload onto this. Here, let me get rid of that. Let's see. And so to do that, I'm going to come to add media in my computer and get that graph. And I'm going to put it here, and then I can expand it and make it bigger. Okay, there's our scatter plot and our line of best fit. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be answering these questions. So the questions I'm going to be answering are describe the scatter plot, come up with a line of best fit, interpret the slope, interpret the y-intercept, and then we're going to do a prediction. Okay. Now today we did notes in our composition book, and these are those sentence frames. Okay, and I'll have that kind of here on the side for us. Let's see if I make it slightly bigger. Okay. So I'm going to come here to describe the scatter plot, and I'm going to grab a text box. And here I'm going to highlight so you can see where I'm writing. Let me change it to black. Okay. And so we're going to be looking at, and let me just make sure everyone knows where I am. So I'm just going to circle it. Okay. So this, hold on. Well, let me draw. This right here, describe the scatter plot. This is what I am doing. Okay, describe the scatter plot. So I'm going to say there is a, and then we decide strong or weak. And we look at the graph to see, well, how close are those points to it? We can also look at our R, okay? And so remember our R is 0.984. 5, that is pretty strong, pretty strong. Okay, so that is going to be strong. Okay, so let me, whoops, still got my, let me come back and finish writing our, describe the scatter plot. So there is a strong, and then the next word I decide is positive or negative. Since this is an increasing line, I say positive. And if my R is positive, then this is positive, okay? If my R is negative, then this is negative, because that means it's decreasing. And then I'm going to decide linear or nonlinear, and this is linear, okay? Not perfect, but it's close to linear. And then I finish with relationship between whatever the X was, and the X is between the length of a forearm in centimeters and the Y, which is the height of the person, also in centimeters. Here, keep it in this box, in centimeters. Now, the next thing they want us to do on part C is suppose the equation for the line of best fit is, and then sketch the line. Well, we've already sketched the line. We have it in our thing. Let's just put the line of best fit here. So let me just get back to this again. And let me just re-highlight. We're looking at the M and the B. So I'm going to come and get a text box again. I'm just going to fill it so you guys can see. And I'm going to write Y equal my slope. My M is 2.87 about, okay, about 2.87x plus, I'm just going to make this bold, sorry, so everything's a little bit darker for you guys to see. Whoops, this is why I want it bold. Okay. So my Y equal 2.87x plus my Y-intercept, which is the B, 94 point, and I'm going to round that up to a 2, 1. I'm push the 0 up to a 1 because of the 7. So that's our line of best fit. That's our LSRL. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to interpret the slope. And I'm just going to write here just so we understand, okay? The slope is our M, okay? Slope is our M. And in this case, my M is equal to 2.87, okay? So I'm going to be using that in my sentence frame. And so now the sentence frame I'm going to be doing, let me get rid of this. The sentence frame I'm going to be doing is this, interpret the slope. Okay, that's the one I'm going to be looking at right now. Interpret the slope. Let me just put it up to the top here. Okay, that's the one. Interpret the slope. So let me get my text box again. Okay, so I'm going to say on, oops, I don't need my purple highlight. Okay, so on average, as the, and then this is always your X, which is the length, wow, of the forearm is, and here we're always going to say increases by 1 and whatever the unit is. So as the length of the forearm increases by 1, and in this case the unit is centimeter, and then my Y variable, which is the height of the person, and we have to decide if it increases or decreases. Again, my R was positive, my line is increasing, okay? So that means it is increasing. If your R is positive, which means your line is increasing, then we're going to write the word increases here instead of decreases. So as my X increases, my Y increases also, okay? So the height of the person increases by about, and this is where the slope comes in, 2.87 centimeters. Now, the next one, and you can always pause at any point if you're trying to write any of this down. Okay, I'm just trying to get all of this on the paper for everybody. Okay, so the next one I'm going to do is interpret the slope. And so interpret the slope. Let me get a spotlight here. Interpret the slope is this one here. Interpret the, sorry, not interpret the slope, interpret the y-intercept. Okay, that's the one I'm doing. So for that, when the, and let me do like I did in this problem. Let me make sure we identify what my my slope, I mean my y-intercept is, my b. My b is the 94.21 from my line of best fit. Okay, so I'm going to put here y-intercept equals your b, and in this case our b is just get this out of the way, is 94.21. Okay, so 94.21. And I'm going to write that as a point, okay, because really this is a point. So the y-intercept is 0, 94.21. Okay, so that is what I'm going to use in this sentence frame. So when the, again, start with your x variable. So when the length of the forearm is 0, okay, because that's what my x is, 0 centimeters, and now this is my y variable, the height of the person is about, and this is where my b comes into play, 94.21 centimeters. Okay. And many times the y-intercept doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for someone to have a 0 centimeter forearm, okay, and be 94.21 centimeters. But even if it doesn't make sense, the rest of the equation does predict our values well, and we are still going to write the y-intercept as is. Okay, so don't go, well, that seems kind of crazy. You still are going to write it. Okay, so now the next question says, predict the height of the humanoid using your model, your line of best fit. This word predict here, predict is always meaning use your equation, okay? And so they wanted us to answer the actual question, which was, if the bone of the forearm is 26.4 centimeters, okay, what's circled in pink, what is the height of the person? So 26.4 centimeters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here. I am going to into my equation. And my equation was, again, y equal, here I'm just going to get some so you guys can see where I'm writing. Okay, y, got that purple highlight again, sorry. Y equal 2.87 x plus 94.21. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be putting in the length that I'm trying to find the height of, which is 26.41. Okay, 26.41. So I'm going to go y equal 2.87 times 26.4. I'm just double checking, making sure I'm putting in the right number, sorry. 26.4, okay, 26.4. plus 94.21. Okay, and I'm going to put that in my calculator. So 2.87 times 26.4 plus 94.21. Just putting in my calculator, and I got that the height is going to be 169.978 centimeters. Okay, so about, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put a little text box here, equation text box. Now, if I'm in the text and I want to add an equation, I can't use this one on the side. I got to use one at the tippy top. And let me make sure everyone knows where I'm going. Let me get the spotlight. Okay, so I can't use this one over here if I'm trying to put an equation into the text. And you might say, well, aren't you doing an equation here? I'm typing in equations, but I wasn't using the math text, okay? Because I didn't have anything special that I needed to write math-wise. But I'm going to be using a symbol saying kind of approximately. So I'm going to come up here to this f of x here, okay? And when I click on that f of x, I'm going to then come here to the pi, and I'm going to come here, and this is the one I want, and is about equal to, and let's give two numbers after the decimal, just like everything else, keep that standard. So the 169.97 is going to push up to a 98 centimeters. That's going to be the height. Now, that's all that they asked for on this worksheet. Eventually, we would be asked to find the residual, maybe talk about the correlation coefficient, but that's all that they ask us for this one. Hopefully, you found this helpful. And we want to make sure that you guys can do this without me. Okay, that's going to be our goal.